All right, wonderful. Well, welcome to everyone who has joined us tonight. It is our second to last of the NEDA Know-How series for 2023, and we are very excited to welcome Hope Cooper with us tonight. And Hope is based out of Massachusetts and Wellington, Florida. She has been an equestrian ever since she began walking, and dressage and some of her dogs is the main focus of her life. She has ridden successfully from FEI Children's Junior Young Rider and U25 to Open Grand Prix. She's a USEF Gold Medalist, and she's competed for Region 8 at the North American Youth Championships in both the juniors and the young rider divisions. In 2014, she earned an individual bronze in the young rider division and was the bronze medalist overall in the under 25 at Festival of Champions in 2019, and the gold medalist in the 2021 Nations Cup in Wellington. So Hope, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks
And
for having me.
yeah, and you're here to share some of your experience overseas in Germany. So we would love to hear about it.
Sounds good. I made like a slideshow because it's more fun, definitely, to look at ponies than me.
We all
So
love photos.
yeah, so I'll sort of scroll along as I'm going. And yeah, thank you for having me. Thanks to NEDA and for letting me share some of the fun experience that I had, which was not this past fall, but one more fall. So like 2022. So I just wanted to start off by talking about like why I wanted to go to Europe and why I think it's important for people who are really passionate about the sport to go even for like a week or a weekend or whatever you can do, or to watch things on TV if you can, or whatever your life allows, because it is so different over there. Like here, we obviously have an incredible developing program and breeding happening. We have some really super breeders, and we have super trainers and a system that's really coming along in the States, which is recognized also all over the world too. But in Europe, I think horses and horse culture, from like farming culture to ancient horse sports and everything in between, has been a part of especially German culture for so long, and breeding has been a part of their culture for so long too. So of course, you know, you go into the city and you have one experience, but in the countryside, it's just horses on horses and breeding stations and stallion stations. There's just so much history and so much depth of knowledge over there, and so many good systems for young horses all the way up through Grand Prix horses in every sport. So that's initially why I chose to go, because that experience, as everyone listening probably already knows, is unlike nothing else that you can really do. And I was really lucky enough to be able to train with Isabelle Werth when I was there, and Christoph Koschel, who is my longtime coach and mentor now too, along with my mom. And yeah, so I will go back to the first picture, which was me. I think I see the first question is about COVID. So this was me flying there, and this was like really in the depths. This is the best picture I had. This was like really in the depths of COVID and trying to be really restricted about everything. Especially, it was much more restricted in Germany and in Europe everywhere. You really had to have your vaccine card everywhere. And I also was probably a hypochondriac and was like totally covered with 3 masks and gloves, not in this picture, but and the shield and everything. So when I went there, like the nice thing about our sport is that it's outside, obviously. So the life around the horses doesn't change too much. Like, you know, there's lots of airflow. So I didn't feel like once I got there that anything was super different, except going into restaurants and stuff. But flying there was definitely in the midst of COVID and changed my experience of flying there. And I flew there alone, and I had a wonderful groom at the time who flew there with my 2 horses who were meeting us there in Rheinberg, Germany. And I was just like, okay, packing up my things and going and putting all the masks on that I can. And this was Diamond and Chocolate. They this was them getting on the trailer from Bear Spot in Concord, Mass. And then they go to New York and they get on a shipping like platform onto a plane. And then Carrie-Elle, who was my groom at the time, she flew right next to them and was able to check on them during the flight. I know she really loved the experience. And she could see them and give them hay if they needed. And somehow this is one of those mysteries. Somehow horses just accept that we asked them to fly, and they were both totally fine with it and calm and great. And it was like nothing ever happened. And then, so I got to Germany, and first I flew into, it was a little while ago now, but at first I flew into Münster. And then I ended up going to Oldenburg, Germany, where there's a lot of horses. And I believe actually that's where, oops, sorry, my dogs are barking now. That's where Helge Strand just is building a new stable there, or I think it's already built now. So it's just an absolutely beautiful place in Germany, and so many horses, so much farmland, so many young horses and baby horses like this. So this is the woman, Viola Abrams, who I give so much credit to for finding almost all of the horses that I have now, and helping me get connected to Isabelle and Christoph, and helping find so many horses in our farm. These are some of her young horses that she was showing me, that I think these are yearlings that live out on a giant field. And that was just, as you can imagine, as a horse person, you get off the plane and see this and you're like, oh, I've landed in heaven. And I absolutely, like, from the moment landing was like, I think I'll just live in Germany for a while. So that was those guys. And then I spent a few days with Viola at her place and got to see her train and what her life is like, and how it's so meshed in with breeding, and not only the knowledge of all the breeding, but also breeding her own mares, and what kinds of stallions she's picking to breed with her mares, and how these things come to be, which, as somebody who's grown up on at a farm and riding my whole life, I've had a lot of wonderful experiences, but I hadn't gotten to have the meeting yearlings and knowing a whole lot about breeding experience before I went there. I still probably know this much compared to some experts, but I feel like that really changed my world a lot, thinking about how we make fantastic Grand Prix horses really start when they're first born, of course, and with the breeding, and also with the nutrients that they get when they're foals. So this is Destar. Part of the opportunity with going to Isabelle's was that we found these two really wonderful superstars there, and she allowed me to train with her for I think it was about 5 or 6 weeks when I first got there. And so these horses, Destar and Triple, who I'll show you in one second, they were already at Isabelle's. And this horse had been there for about a year, and Triple had been there, I think, almost since he was like a yearling or something like that. So this is one of my all-time favorite horses that I've ever sat on. He's just absolutely wonderful. And I won't go too much into that. I'm sure that will bore everybody, but that's Destar. And these are some of the stalls inside Isabelle's really beautiful, wonderful facility in Rheinberg, which has a lot of cornfields. I wish I took more pictures, but it's like really corn everywhere, and sort of paths through the corn until you make your way sort of like Isabelle's barn, which is just gorgeous, as you can imagine. And then also there's a little town which has some incredible Italian restaurants and coffee shops and bakeries, and there was just nothing like it was so homey and really nice to be there, and the horses were so close. And Carrie-Elle and I had a really fun time staying in an Airbnb that was like this shared space, but that I didn't know was going to be a shared space with people sort of traveling through. A lot of bikers were also staying there, and getting to talk to people, and because it was like a shared kitchen, and meeting some German people who both had to do with horse things and not at all. So that was really fun. And then, so let's go to the next. Oh, that's Triple. So he's also very much amazing, and hopefully, both of them will be in the big ring coming up soon. They're both getting towards, well, one did his first I2, and this one is getting towards being able to do his first I2, hopefully in the next few weeks. This is when Diamond and Chocolate arrived there, and Isabelle has a lot of stalls. I think there's somewhere around like 45 or 50 stalls there, and somehow the care is just amazing for all of them. Like, they have enough staff, their stalls are constantly being picked. I mean, I think, not to, toot our own horns at Werth, I think this is what they were used to, but, everyone was really watching out for them all the time. And I honestly, being at Isabelle's, have never met a more down-to-earth group of people. They were just absolutely horse people through and through. And obviously the training was unbeatable, and the care was also fantastic. So I think my horses had a really unbelievable time there. If you have any questions, anything I'm not going over about being there, feel free to ask. I got to ride with Isabelle quite a bit on all 4 horses, and I woke up every day and watched her ride her own horses. That was also amazing. She has a really uncanny ability, which I think also matches Christoph and my mom extremely well, to sort of create the best out of the horse without putting pressure on the horse in a way, and keep the relaxation, and that the relaxation is really the main point of making a good Grand Prix horse, that you don't have a good Grand Prix horse with tension, and that the horse has to like their job, which is a piece of knowledge I've luckily grown up having. And that was really clear when I was there. Someone just asked, what was the turnout like? There's definitely less turnout in Germany everywhere than what we have at home. Like, my horses are used to in Massachusetts going out from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And having a big field, and that's what we have room for. In Germany, obviously the young horses and older horses have a lot of land, and they go out in herds, and that's like one of the pictures that I showed you guys before. So they have paddocks, absolutely. They have nice paddocks, some sand, some grass, and I could choose. So the first few days, while they were getting used to it, maybe we did a little bit smaller paddocks and everything, but my horses definitely went out for a few hours a day, sometimes on grass, sometimes on the sand. Same thing when we went to Koschel later. It's definitely different over there. You have to sort of find your normal routines for your horses within other people's normal routines, but it wasn't hard to do. And I think everyone wants to do what's right for your horses. So that was easy to find turnout. And let's go to the next one. That was Diamond. So this is just in Isabelle's outdoor. Again, I didn't really think I'd be talking about this, so I didn't take a whole lot of pictures. I think I was just kind of like starstruck the whole time. I think the first time I met Isabelle, I'm not usually like a speechless person, and I was like, and then she just was so funny and down to earth and easy to talk to. So after that, I was really relaxed, and we went to dinner a few times, and that was just like friends. So this is the outdoor. That's Cariel walking Chocolate in the background. This is Diamond, obviously, who for anyone who follows my Instagram, is now very happily retired in Tennessee and has acres and acres to play on with his herd. And not only because he was older, he still did, Grand Prix and everything after this, but it felt like the right time. So this is him again, hanging out in the stall at Isabelle's. That really nice, big, beautiful stalls. Oh, sorry, I'm reading another question. Okay, any pearls of wisdom? I think one of the biggest things that I really gained from working with Isabelle was sort of fine-tuning the Piaffe Passage on my horses. I also luckily got to watch her ride Chocolate and Diamond, and of course ride Destar and Triple as well. But I hadn't seen like I hadn't seen that many people ride Chocolate and Diamond. Like, obviously my mom has ridden both of them, and Christoph has ridden both of them and done both of them an incredible job. So I've seen them in those kinds of settings, but I hadn't, I was like, oh yes, absolutely, please ride my horses. And so to watch her sort of create, she talked a lot about keeping the same rhythm, that piaffe passage aren't two separate things, and keeping the same steadiness and the same like one dance move, one sort of relaxed line through piaffe and passage, that you don't change much, you just keep the rhythm. That was really helpful, even though it maybe sounds simple in this context, but it was, when you're on a horse and you're working on the piaffe passage, was super helpful in the moment, and it has changed the way I think about piaffe passage now. And yeah, and if I can think of anything else, I will. If you have any more questions, definitely keep asking. From the training perspective, I'd share anything. I'm very open about anything because I had such a wonderful time. So Diamond again, just because his shoes are in the picture, actually, I figured I'd bring this up. The farriers over there are such artists. I also over here, of course, like we have a wonderful farrier who works with all of our horses named Neo, who probably some of you from New England also know. He's amazing. And we've talked about this before, but like everything, I think because of the history of how in depth like everything about horses and the sport is in Europe and in Germany especially, everything is such an art form over there. So like farriers were fascinating to talk to, vets were fascinating to talk to, like I said, breeders were fascinating to talk to, trainers. There's just like hundreds of years of history that everyone has, whether it's linked to their family. Like you don't meet that many people over there that are like new to the horse world in their family as you do here, which hopefully in a few hundred years from now, we'll have just as much depth in our, or sooner in our world here too. But that's sort of the unique thing. Not that one is necessarily better than the other, but that like, there's just so much knowledge. It's like going to horse grad school. There's Chocolate in his stall. He's just so cute, and he has a mustache. So Isabelle has a really beautiful track that's sort of towards the outside of her property, and with this big grass field. And then behind, it's a little bit hard to see in this, but behind the hedges in the back are lots of baby horses. And I mean, I didn't ask, but there must be over 100 horses if you include all of the babies and all of the retired horses. That's another thing that is so wonderful about both places that I went, is like when these horses have given you their all and they have been just phenomenal athletes, they just go enjoy their life. You don't keep selling them and riding them, and they just have the most wonderful life after they've given you everything that they have. Okay, next picture. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. I had to include this vegan salami. I'm not vegan, but if anyone was wondering about the food there, the food there was actually so good. Like I wasn't thinking, I'm quite a foodie myself, and I wasn't like thinking, oh, Germany like is known for the food. It's kind of known for like I thought like bread and cheese and pastries and stuff, but there was so much in the grocery stores. Like I won't even get into it because it's not about food, but like the best figs I've ever had, and like such good avocados. Everything's organic. The way that they farm over there is just completely different. There's so many more rules than what we have over here with some of our chemicals. Even our organic food has so many more chemicals in it than it did over there. I personally have never felt better like as an athlete than being over there and eating. It felt just very clean. And we also had the kitchen that we had in our Airbnb had no like stove. It was like a hot pot and a microwave, which was sort of back to college living, but in a good way. And so we made a lot of like mozzarella salads and hummus and all sorts of other fun, wild things that you can find at the grocery store there. That it's called, like, their version of Whole Foods is called Edeka. I'm probably saying it wrong, but it's really, it was great. We went to the barn, we went to Edeka, we went to sleep. These are some tiny polos that I found because every tack shop there has just everything that you can possibly imagine for every horse of every single size. And that was true of almost every tack shop that we went to. Just a whole building for miniature pony things and a whole building for normal things and big things. And there was just everything, every supplement you can imagine. There's just, yeah, it was like Walmart or something. This is Diamond in Isabelle's really beautiful indoor. Everything was just super clean and nice looking. And I mean, part of it is probably also like I was only there for 6 weeks, and I'm sure when you're working there every day, everything doesn't feel amazing, or maybe it does, but I definitely had rose-colored glasses on while I was there because it was just amazing to be there the whole time. The indoor is big and there's so much space, and the mirrors, obviously, as you can see, really let you see everything. And yeah, and you can't really see it, but in the left corner of this picture, that they roll their hay into those big balls. So they use those like big forks to give each horse hay, and everything's cobblestone and you sweep and it's so easy. And anyways, this is Diamond on the track. Footing was amazing. I think people in the horse sports, as everyone probably knows, and I don't even need to say it, like the main things are, other than good riding and good training, are having a good farrier and good footing. And I think that's really what keeps horses going for as long as they can go, and health in a healthy way. And there was, everywhere that I went, it was just top-notch, state-of-the-art, super footing, super farriers, super vets. Yeah, I'm sure that's not obviously true everywhere that you go in Germany or in Europe, but that was part of the experience that I have, which was, I was very lucky to have, to go to those top-notch facilities and learn from, people that you can't beat. The weather in Germany was awesome. Like I love a little bit of rain and a little stormy and a little bit not so hot and sunny all the time, although I love Florida too, obviously. But the rainbows in Germany, I've never seen anything like them. Like we were driving and you can't really see it, but this turned into like a double rainbow, and even I think at one point a triple rainbow. And this happened all the time. I think I have more rainbow pictures in my slideshow later. But every time it rained, there was basically a rainbow. The language challenges, I'm just looking in the chat at the questions, but the language challenges were definitely there. I do not have a talent for learning languages whatsoever. I was much more of like a science person in school, but I think we picked up some words. At Isabelle's in Rheinberg, they definitely spoke less English. Like obviously Isabelle speaks amazing English, and a lot of the people there, her riders and people, spoke super English. So I probably got away too much with speaking English. And then at Castleman's, which I'll go into in a moment, is really like a real melting pot of everywhere in the world. So the main language that's spoken, I'd say there, I mean, maybe not the main one, but maybe second place is English. Like people speak German, but then you also have people from Korea and people from China and people from Poland. And it's like a very diverse place at Castleman. So I would say, unfortunately, I didn't pick up as much German as I'd like to have. But this year when we go, I'm really fortunate now to have this unbelievable groom, named Paul, who hopefully you guys will see lots of pictures of, who also spent time there, I think in his 20s, riding stallions and being over there, also learning from the best people. And he speaks fluent German. So I'm hoping he'll teach me a little bit, or at least push me to stop speaking English. And the question about this, if I was there in the summer, I was there towards the end of August and all the way through like the beginning of November. So it was like about 3 months. So I guess maybe beginning of August. And it was like the summer, late summer, but it was more like fall weather, I'd say, the whole time. Go to the next picture. Oops. Here's an example of one of the smaller paddocks that was at Isabelle's, like sand, and you can put hay in there, and it's obviously beautifully built. And then behind it, there's plenty of bigger paddocks, but you know, sometimes even with the older guys, like especially Chocolate, I was like, let's start with the small one. And then eventually they got more turnout and got into bigger fields and everything like that. Chocolate likes to run around. Here is Isabelle, of course, and her sort of courtyard here, and her barn is built to the left of this. Her outdoor is sort of built to the right. And if you can picture it, like the track is behind the barn, and everything is this brick and cobblestone, which is beautiful. And then I got to also ride with these two riders who you hopefully recognize, or may not recognize. Will is on top of this very cool mare called Denuve, who he's still showing, who's a beautiful mare, just absolutely stunning. And Will is he's from Australia, and he is also one of Isabelle's main riders. And then Nicholas is one of her other main riders. He's the blonde one on the ground. And they were both like just wonderful teachers, wonderful to watch train, and just super cool people to learn from and pick their brains all the time. I probably annoyed them with all my questions, but they still talk to me. So someone asked if I went to Oktoberfest. I honestly did not go to Oktoberfest. Maybe we'll go this year. I don't know, but surprisingly, like we were somehow, even though we just had 4 horses and 5 at the end, like we were working our butts off from like 6:30 in the morning until like 9 p.m. But I had 0 complaints about it. So no, we didn't really do anything except go to the barn and sometimes like go out to get pizza and the one cool thing I did get to do, which I hope I included a picture in here, I may have forgotten, but was go to European Championships that year, which was at in Hagen at Castleman's. We moved from Isabelle's about midway through September to Castleman's. This is a beautiful new barn that they were literally still doing construction on as we arrived. And the horses didn't care at all, but I think they've now built another one of these. I can let you know when I go back. And it's just also, again, like top-notch facilities. The automatic waterers are everywhere. We don't have a lot of those in the US. Maybe some people do. I hadn't seen many of them before I went over. So the horses, I thought, oh my God, are they gonna not drink water because they don't know? And it was like just easy, they knew. They're like, duh, it's water. And this, I don't know if you can picture it, but this is sort of like parallel to, on the left, that big stadium that you see and like Horses and Dreams, or that you would have seen in the European Championships. So, and also for a lot of jumping things. Yeah, and really just beautiful stalls and a new building. Go to the next picture. Oh, so this is where we stayed, but this is one of my favorite pictures I took while we were there, which is Castleman owns, like the family of Castleman owns about 15 minutes down the road, this beautiful property called Ostov, which I'm probably butchering how you're supposed to say it, but it's a stud station and also has mares and foals that live on acres and acres of land. A lot of their breeding happens here. A lot of it also happens like in other parts of Germany. But so I got to see some things here, of course. And then they have the stallion barn, and one of these barns, I'm trying to think of which one it was. I think in the back is their indoor that they use. And then I believe this one, like I'm trying to orient myself, but this one with the sort of grain mill in the middle of the doorway, rather than having stalls, is sort of just like one big empty a building that has straw on the floor, and all of the mares and foals come in either at night or for like when the weather is not good. And there's also, of course, top trainers working with young horses there all the time too. And then it's sort of built around this really beautiful hotel, and the hotel has like a restaurant and everything. And so we got to stay in little apartments there for the few months that we were there, which was amazing, and also had lots of amazing sunsets and rainbows and other things that sound like unicorns. This is triple again in one of the arenas at Kasselman. They have, I think if I'm doing the math correctly, it's like 6 indoors and maybe like 6 more outdoors. Maybe someone else can correct me who's been there and listening to this, but they have a lot of spaces. They have upwards of, I think, 200 or 250 horses, from young horses to Grand Prix horses, sales horses, retired horses, Freddie's horses, Evelyn's horses, just like absolutely any horse you can think of is there. Some jumpers, some ponies. I got to watch Francois's kids ride a little bit. They're amazing, as you can imagine. Yeah, and so it was a great experience for me to take these 2 horses were 7 at the time. So to take 2 horses that I didn't know very well and just sort of take them into different situations. Like sometimes you'd go in the arena and there'd be like 20 horses, it'd be like a crazy warm-up arena. Or you'd go somewhere that's super peaceful. They also had a beautiful track there. And yeah, and again, footing amazing. I used Christoph's vet and farrier, who I still am really fond of, and go to them sometimes to ask questions. And they are amazing people and just top-notch people everywhere. Yeah, this is some of the turnout at Kasselman's. This is sort of behind Christoph's barn. The Kasselman itself is huge. It's sort of, there's probably, I want to say like 4 or 5 barns. And then Christoph has this really sort of smaller facility with a really beautiful courtyard in the middle you can like walk around in, and then some turnout behind his barn, and sort of old style, but really well cared for. How do you spell the place? And can anyone go and stay in their hotel? I think that anyone can go and stay in their hotel. I think you would need like a contact there if you wanted to go see horses being worked. I think it also depends on the time of year. So like in the fall, they start to work the PSI horses. I didn't get to watch a whole lot of that because that's super early in the morning, usually when I was like doing stalls or turnout. But I believe that if you're like interested in a horse or want to be connected to them, like either through my mom or I or Christoph, I'd be happy to assist in that. But I think the thing that's so great about both places that I went, and also especially Francois and Kasselman and Christoph, is that they're just very down to earth, honest people. So any questions that you have are answered. I think sometimes in the horse world, we get a little bit caught up, which of course can happen in this like game of like, and you might feel like you're being taken advantage of, or like, what does this person want in this situation? Because we invest so much of our lives into this sport. And when I was there, I really felt like people wanted me to learn, and it was just purely this like learning experience that was and that I could really trust the people that I was around, which in general in the world, that's not always that easy to find. And so, yeah, if you have any questions about being connected to them, I should spell it for you. Maybe my mom can write it in the chat and spell it. I don't think I could spell it out loud. There you go. Yeah. Okay, we'll go to the next picture. Here's chocolate again. This was sort of as we were getting towards going for chocolate and both of our first Grand Prix. Is the sand, so the footing is more like GGT. And thanks, these are all such great questions. Yeah, the footing is more like GGT, and they also have, which we're also really lucky to have at Bear Spot from Footings First. We have, and they had this really unbelievable mats underneath, which I can maybe ask my mom to help explain a little bit if anyone's curious, but they originally were for jumpers, and it really takes the impact. It's sort of like the ground and then the mats, and then probably like 3 or 4 inches of like GGT footing on top of that. And it like, you've never felt anything like it. It's unbelievable. Your horses just feel like they have springs in their legs. Sometimes you go to the show and you come home and it's like, this needs to be everywhere. And the horses are just super happy on it. And I don't think that they have that everywhere, but in a lot of the main stadiums, they had that, and a lot of the main indoors, they had that. And then hopefully I included in here, but they also have this beautiful, huge track, which goes a little bit through the woods in a way. And I don't think that they had the mats on there. I don't think you could have it in an outdoor type setting, but they did have the same kind of GGT footing. And a typical lesson each day. So that's a good question, because when you're there training with somebody, I ride my horses 5 days a week. Some people over there and also here ride more like 6 days a week and switch it up and everything like that. I try to give my horses, especially the older ones, 2 days off at least a week, and also younger ones. And so I am really careful. Like, I've had to deal with this whole history with Diamond, of course, who had this metabolic issue that we didn't really know about and had a long history of trying to keep him healthy. And so I was, of course, nervous going over there, being like, I want to get him to doing an Open Grand Prix. He had already been successful in U25, like very successful. And I didn't want to push him though. And I didn't want to feel like I was going to be put in a situation where I was having to work my horses harder than what I wanted. And I must say that really good classical German training and riding, there's not pushing your horses. Like, it is being in tune with your horse's emotional world. Again, something that I was really lucky to grow up with my mom, and feeling like yes, you work 5 days a week or 6 days a week, but you go on the track, you let them have fun, you change the environment, you change the work, you don't stress the same muscles all the time, you keep it like a game for the horses. And I really think I've ridden with quite a few amazing people over the years, and both Christoph and Isabelle, and I also really have to say, especially Christoph, which is why it's a really super working, partnership with him, is really about keeping it fun for your horses and light. So almost every typical lesson was basic training, walk, trot, canter, transitions, shoulder 4, a long warm up, getting the horse over the back. And then when the horse feels good, then you start to work towards what you want to work towards. And when it taking longer to get the horse through, that's what you do the whole day. And especially with older horses, like sometimes maybe they're stiffer, or maybe they slept less or wrong or something, and you just work it through and you go. And I couldn't be more clear in my understanding that, like, almost the less you do, sometimes the more the horses give you and the faster they learn. And that, I'd say, between my mom and Isabelle and Christoph is a thread that runs through, which is awesome. And there was almost no surprises. Like, there was a lot of light bulb moments training with Isabelle and with Christoph where I was like, wow, I can really feel this sort of small artistry and these small tweaks, but there was never anything that I was like, wow, that's a completely different way of training your horse. I felt like we were really set up, had the basics, especially I had been working with Christoph too before going, and my mom, of course. And yeah, so that was a really nice thing to understand that in a way I was already in a good track. Yeah, so chocolate here. I think this is like the day before we went and did our first Grand Prix, which was really exciting. Oh, here's the track. That's good. It's a huge track, and it goes through these trees over here. And then this is also like very famous, not stadium, but very famous arena where you see, like, it says horses, does it say? No, usually it says horses and dreams, and then they set up bleachers like here. And yeah, really nice footing on the track. And I did a lot of riding on the track, even sometimes a little bit with the 7-year-olds, it was a little bit nuts, but you see these young horse riders there, like Evelyn is a really good, and Freddie also great, both good examples of people who, you know, can do everything from riding 3-year-old stallions to being in the top 10 in the world in the Grand Prix. And like, they just, that is one thing I don't know that I'll ever have, is just like to take a 3-year-old on the track and just have full confidence that you know what you're doing. But I had a lot of fun with my 4. This is the entrance into the other really big stadium. And also where Horses and Dreams is, sometimes also some big jumper shows. And this is probably most recently the most famous for the European Championship. So you kind of go through the chute, you walk around from the warm-up, go through the chute, and then you're in this arena, which when I was there, they were sort of finishing the season. So there was no like arena built in there or anything. So it was just this huge space to like gallop around in, get up in half seat. I spent a lot of, when I wasn't having a lesson, I'd say I'd have a lesson like 3 or 4 times a week on each horse. So I'd say 2 rides or 3 rides or something like that a week were just hacking around here, or getting up in half seat and going for a gallop. Here's the other side of the entrance. On the left, if you're looking at the sign, would be like that really, there's a lot of famous pictures of those flags that all line up along the VIP tent line. That's permanent. So that was there. That's really cool. And then just so much greenery. The Kasselman itself is really truly like a family business. It's very homey feeling and nice in that way. So I think Bianca and Uli's house is somewhere around, like maybe to the right. Got to have lunch with them a few times and also talk about the history, which like in their house, they have so many sort of historical artifacts because their family has been involved in horses for so long. And I think has really allowed everyone in the family to travel all over the world. So it's just, there was so much history to talk about when I got to hang out with them and have lunch. This track sort of is not like a footing track, but is a cobblestone pathway that goes all the way around the property. And we did a lot of hand walking there, especially when it was like too rainy to do real turnout. And then on the right here is that big stadium. On the left is lots more turnout. And then like right in this left, right, the barn that you see right there is Christoph's barn. These are apple trees. I was told later that they weren't for everyone to pick apples off of, but I spent a lot of time picking apples off of them before I knew that I wasn't supposed to pick apples off of them and feeding them to my horses. I would have like a lesson in this indoor that's behind the tree, and then walk out and like get from my horse, grab an apple and give it to them. And then I don't know, no one got mad at me, but I don't think you're supposed to take all the apples. This is just a little screenshot because this was a big moment for me, so I thought I'd include it, of me getting to do my first Grand Prix and Chocolate getting to do his first Grand Prix in Ancum, which is, I'm also probably saying wrong, but is about a half an hour away from Kasselman. Kasselman owns this too, and this is where the PSI auction is, and where it's they almost have like a global, except that like a Adequan global festival, but they don't have CDIs as far as I know, maybe one, but I don't think so. Where they just have national shows like every weekend. So you just put the horse on the truck, go ride, come home, similar to Wellington in a way. And funny enough, it's a little farther than you would go in Wellington. So like, I never got to like school Chocolate or anything in here. So we just sort of warmed up and went in, and he was so good. He's awesome. It's a fantastic horse. When I was over there, I also got to go to the Vecta auction with Viola. Abrams, the woman I mentioned before, who I owe a lot of doing this to, she is really involved with the Oldenburg Society or Oldenburg Verband. And she took me, we got nice fun seats, and we've actually been really lucky to get a few different horses as 4-year-olds from the auction before, even 3-year-olds. And they have some really amazing horses. I think that when I went there, they sold one of their like history making records for that auction of this unbelievable 3-year-old mare that was like, it was jaw dropping to watch. Oops, I'm just looking at the questions. Okay. Yeah, and more rainbows, some more turnout. The turnout was a little bit far from the barn, so I spent a lot of time sitting in the paddock with my horses. Then we got Flynn, who I got to also learn a little bit from Hubertus Schmidt, and because Flynn was at his barn, and I tried him there a few times and got to ride with him a little bit. And then Flynn came over to Kasselman later, which he had actually already been there before because Evelyn had him there for a little bit. And now I still have Flynn. We still have Chocolate, of course. Probably some of you know I have a really awesome student who is doing the young riders and doing a great job with him. And Mary, his owner, still owns him, and everyone loves him, and he's fantastic. And Diamond is retired, and now the focus is really Flynn and these up and coming younger horses. Christoph and Flynn, this is, if you do go try horses at Kasselman or go watch training, this is probably the indoor that you'll be in. It's like a lot of people on Instagram post pictures of this indoor. It's like known. And they have this really beautiful sitting area, which is sort of, again, like kind of an older style, but really comfy and nice. And they also weirdly have a Peloton there if you ever want to ride it. And this is usually where they show horses or do like any type of, videoing or something like that. And then Patricia, Christoph's wife, took this really awesome picture of Chocolate and me, and this is Christoph's dad's horse named DiMaggio, I think is his name. And really soon after, Chocolate was like, and didn't like being that close to that horse. But this is like in that little arch that says Horses and Dreams, so that was cool. And then the trip went by really fast, and it was over, and I have Klata to thank absolutely for getting my horses everywhere safely, and Duda, of course, on the other side. And yeah, the horses somehow I always get nervous about these things because I'm a nervous person anyways, but they just got right on the trailer and it was easy, and they went home. And Carriel went with them to quarantine. When you import a horse, I'm sure all of you know that often they stay in quarantine for 2 days. And then you get to take them home unless they're a mare or a stallion. Like Flynn, I had to stay in quarantine for about a month in Wellington. Once he came home, he came later. And then, yeah, and I met them at home, and I was brought home a lot of new knowledge, and I missed the vegan salami a lot. And then we went to Florida pretty soon after that and had an awesome season there. So yeah, I think one other thing that's just worth mentioning that's not about myself, since I've just been talking totally about myself, is one of the coolest things that I found before going to Germany was this organization called SCES, which I absolutely should have written down what it stands for. It stands for Southern California Equestrian something that I don't know what the S is. But if you guys are curious or ever looking for funding or to make these kinds of trips happen, because you absolutely should. This was a total life-changing experience. This organization, basically you can ask or advertise or have people donate and also apply for grants, but donate to you specifically as an up-and-coming rider or a professional rider. And those people who donate can get a tax write-off on their donation to you. So because of a lot of really wonderful people in my life and friends and just people that I know who were wanting to be supportive. It allowed them, yeah, thank you for putting the link there. It allowed them to really help support me. And that was fantastic because I really wouldn't have been able to do this at all without going through SCES. And I could not thank them enough. I'm still a part of that and, you know, trying to even start now to work on funding for going over to Europe in the fall. It's obviously not a cheap sport, and to really get to the top, you unfortunately have to find somewhere somehow to be funded, and it's really not easy. And I'm sure a lot of other riders in my position can attest to the same thing. Yeah, okay, so the question, you coach young riders in Region 8. What did you find, if anything, that you want to share with them about the experience? Definitely, I think I've already probably shared a lot with them, and the riders that I coach, my young riders and juniors, are also really wonderfully smart people. So they also asked a lot of questions. I mean, I think what I would share with them again is that they should have the same experience themselves, and not only just because of the training, but because of things that I've already talked about, like the depth of knowledge over there from every aspect of the sport and the horses in general. And I unfortunately didn't study abroad when I went to college. So this was like my study abroad scenario. And just that this isn't an easy sport, and it's a small world, even though it's over lots of countries, but that the really strong thread through the best horsemanship and the best training. And I do feel comfortable saying the best, because now I've seen the best work. And is just this appreciation for our horses and for what they give to us, and for having a relaxed and calm and wonderful relationship with your horse in the ring, out of the ring, on the track, whatever. Yeah, that's the more general advice, I guess. Yeah, I don't know if anyone has any more questions. That's pretty much the whole trip.
Well, Hope, that was fantastic. I know it looks like you had a awesome time. I'm sure it was a once in a lifetime experience. Even if you get to go back, you can't have your first time again, right?
Totally, yeah. Absolutely.
Now, did your mom go with you for the whole part?
No, sorry. This is the last picture on the slideshow. My mom came. I actually owe the biggest thank you, obviously, to my mom. Sometimes it's hard to remember to thank your mom, even though it's always in the tip of my brain. My mom, so nice of her to take on my clients and students, who we mostly share anyways. But she was riding like, I don't know, 17 horses a day or something insane, like, while I was gone, just so that I could be there, and running the barn by herself. And of course we have unbelievable staff there too, but she really made it possible for me to go. I could not have done it without her supporting me emotionally, and obviously the training that she's given me my whole life, and also taking on the majority of the responsibility of our business. So thank you. And she came and visited me like 2 times, once at Isabelle's and once at Christoph's at Castleman's. And so I got to show her everything, and I'm like probably too attached to my mom, and called her like 9,000 times a day, to the point where she was like, can you stop calling me? But so she knew everything. And I shared lots of pictures and everything with her the whole time too.
Well, that sounds like a fabulous experience.
Thank you. It really was.
Thank you for sharing it with all of us. Looks like a lot of people are sharing that same sentiment in the comments here.
Thank you to everybody who listened and for your questions. And if you guys ever have any more questions, like anything you didn't want to ask here or think of later, like Instagram or is good, or I don't know if you guys share my Instagram or email, or how this
We
works.
are happy to, if you are comfortable with that.
Yeah, that's fine. Feel free to reach out with anything. I really believe in everything I said, and believe in spending a lot of time over there. So I'm happy to connect anyone or answer any questions.
Wonderful. Well, looks like that is all the questions that we've had. I haven't seen any more pop up. So again, thank you for joining us tonight. It was wonderful to hear about your experience and get some insight into a world that, not everyone gets a chance to experience. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that should conclude our second to last NEDA Know-How session for 2023. We hope everyone can join us next week on our final session, and I hope everyone has a good night.